So for this installation in this bath, I'm using the shower line drain, which is the PVC drain body. It's going to be a steam shower, so I'm going to be using membrane everywhere instead of a liquid waterproofing. This is made in a way that 2 pieces of drywall against your framing and your tile comes right behind this clamping bar. I'm also using the tile-in drain cover. Where my tile is going to come, there's going to be a tiny slot. The tile will be in the drain cover, and it will have the tile then come right behind it. So it'll virtually be like a wall drain for 1/3 the cost. Anyway, that's what's going on here. I've used the rapid recess brackets on top of my floor joists and have lowered my floor down as low as I can, which is going to give me my proper slope to the rest of the room. Haven't screwed this panel down. I'm measuring for my plumbing now as to where my drain is going to locate. I'll be able to hook up all of my plumbing and slide this into place. For this particular drain, you have to notch out your joists. So in this situation where my drain is perpendicular to my joists, I would not be able to do this with a manufactured joist, with a TGI, an I joist. If you have a regular dimensional lumber for your floor joist, it's not a problem to take a small notch out of the top. And then I'm going to cut away all of this plywood also, so that my drain is going to sit right up here against the bench. So I have the slot cut for my drain. The drain fits in, it's flush with the floor everywhere. You want to keep your gap here pretty tight, because there's places where you screw this drain down to the subfloor, and you don't want to be have too much wiggle room, because your screws will miss their mark. So I'm ready with this. I'm going to go ahead and hook all of my plumbing up to my drain, slide this piece in place, and I'm ready for slope. So I took the screws out and removed the clamping collar. I screwed the drain down to the decking, and in the back I had to use my self-tapping screws because they go through the plywood and also through the brackets. So I'm ready to install slope now. Oh, I'm sorry. Drywall goes up first. It's easier to put your drywall against the floor where it's nice and straight rather than trying to cut it on an angle so that it matches the slope. So I'll be putting the drywall on next. I'm probably just going to go up a couple of feet to keep moving along here. So I'm dry fitting my panels here and just trying to see how my slope is going to go. And what I know is that the panel is thicker than the drain body. So I can move it back a little if I need to. When I thin set this down, I can fill the gap with thin set. And I've got sheet waterproofing going on here. I've got membrane, so I have no issues with any of that. The other thing I've discovered is that with my 1/4-inch backer, I'm a little bit high here also. And I'm going to try to feather this out with mud because I've got the metal on here. Everything kind of comes up to a point. So if I lay my 1/4-inch down here and find where I'm even, and I'm going on top of these rails here. So I'm even about here. So I would be able to cut this off to here, and I'll be flush to my backer on the main floor, and I'm that far away from my drain I can easily fill that with thin set. And I'm still a little bit high of my drain. And you know, by the time you get thin set and this and thin set and tile, everything will it all evens out in the end. So I'm going to cut just a little bit more off of these panels. Also, you can see my main floor is coming in. I had to cut it back farther because I wanted to be on top of this joist. So this is where my final floor is. My slope is going to lay up against it like this. And I'll have 1/4 inch on top of this. And I'm just going to have to rip a little tiny piece of tile to fill that small side edge. My glass channel is going to fit right exactly on the edge of this. So with a second sheet of drywall on here, I'm still going to be able to get to my screws for the clamping collar after I get all of my waterproofing down. And this tile leaves me probably 3/16 of an inch. I've got enough room for mud, and it's going to come right up to that clamping collar. And then the tile-in drain cover will fit there. So it's really a nice fit, this drain up against, it's not quite up against the framing either, it's out a little bit more. In the past, I've left these out more so that I have room to put a piece of tile behind it just in case. But now I'm seeing with the proper measurements and looking at it very closely, it's all going to work out just nicely. So I've cut down my slope panels and pre-fit them. I'm right here where I want to be at 1/4 inch. I'm going to mix up thin set, and with a 1/4 by 1/4 trowel, I'm going to fill this bed and set my slope on top of it. I'm going to keep it just, well, gosh, it's all so flush. These brackets are just great. So I'm ready for waterproof membrane here. This is a steam shower, so membrane is my course of action. I had to leave this second piece of drywall up just a hair so the clamping collar will fit underneath it. There are locator pins on this drain that go into these holes that don't correspond to anything else. They're not screw holes. And that puts my collar just a hair underneath this piece of drywall. So when I put my mud and my membrane in, I'm going to poke that membrane underneath this just a hair. It's not going to matter to anything. It's still going to be waterproof and vapor-proof. And before I do, I'm going to pull off this outer layer, this outer protective layer, so that my membrane and everything will adhere to this plastic. Then the clamping collar will go back on top of that. No sort of caulk or anything under this, of course, because anything moisture that gets to the membrane, we want to get into the drain. So I have all of my waterproofing in, my membrane. I've installed the clamping collar. The drain extensions you can cut to length with just a pair of tin snips, and there's a little tab on these that you want to make sure is in alignment with the clamping collar. These go on top and make the connection between all of these, and you can raise and lower this piece that goes on the top, and it's like your Schluter tile edging. In its folding over and manufacture, one side is a little longer than the other. You want to have that long side to the inside. I've had times where I haven't been able to push it down far enough. I've used a thin tile, but these you can just start at one end, and they'll go right down over the top. push them down. I like to leave it up, leave it just a little bit proud, so when I set my tile here, I can knock my floor tile down to the height of this. I'm using the tile in drain cover, which will just go in the center. I don't need this on there right now. And before you put the tile in here, the kit comes with butyl tape. You peel the sticky off of the back, put the butyl tape on top of here because a thin set doesn't stick to stainless very well. So you put the butyl tape on, cut your tile, put your tile in here. If your tile's going all the way across, you can cut your tile so that your pattern in the tile continues into the drain cover. The drain cover has little feet on it that you'll be able to change its height to get it the same height as your tile here. So I'm going to leave my membrane all on the inside here just for neatness purposes. My tile that's going along the back wall is going to fit just like that. I'll have the tile inside the drain. I think it's going to work out just perfect. So I removed the membrane and their green protective shield from my drain. I've cut the drain cover down to fit in the slot. The kit comes with this butyl tape, and you peel the backing off and stick the butyl tape onto the drain cover. The thin set doesn't stick to stainless very well, and that's what the butyl tape is for. These little feet fit onto these pieces here on the back side, and that's what fits here inside the drain and holds the drain cover in place. They're adjustable in height with all the rest of these little things. I'm just going to set it low, set my tile, and after the tile and everything is set, then I'll figure out how high I want it to be so that it's flush with the rest of this. So before grout, that's what it looks like. I'll have images when the shower is all finished.